लिख्यते हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरूढा आत्मनिष्ठो देहं मृण्मय जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तभावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भाव ओहं भावयुतः कुतो वदधिय दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मनो सोहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् सोहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्. Namo Ramana. In this, the Thursday satsang from Ramana Center for Learning, it has been our practice to read two selected verses from Guruvachakakovai, the work by Muruganar Swamigal. The verses are selected by Revati Shankar and they are selected randomly. Each verse is read and the verse reading is followed by a short meditation on its meaning, and that is followed by the practice of self-enquiry for 15 minutes. After these two segments of verse reading, meditating on the meaning, and the practice of Atmavicharam are completed, there will be summing up remarks by Venkatesh Deshpande ji, and that will be followed by the offering of Sri Ramana Stotram. The chanting will be by Vaibhav ji and Pratnama online, and we, the rest, will be offering the self-enquiry or offering the I thought to the source. With Bhagavan's immense grace, we begin with the first verse selected for us, verse number 283. Verse number 283, we find in the first segment, investigation into truth. The second segment of the book is meditation on the truth, and the final set of verses are on experience of the truth. 283, we find in investigation into truth. The subsegment is Guru's grace, the greatness of the Guru, Guru's grace or greatness of the Guru, verse 283. Though the Guru, appearing in the waking state of the disciple, which is actually a dream that originates in the sleep of ignorance, the disciple will lose the shrouding ignorance and attain jnana. Through the Guru, not though the Guru, through the Guru, appearing in the waking state, through him, appearing in the waking state of the disciple, which is actually a dream that originates in the sleep of ignorance, the disciple will lose the shrouding ignorance and attain jnana. The validating analogy for this is, when the elephant's sleep ends, when the elephant sees a lion in its dream, which originates in sleep, the elephant's sleep ends and it wakes up. What happens to the lion in the dream? That also ends in the Atma Swarupa. So, the Guru is the lion that appears in the elephant's dream. The Who Am I, the book, and the enthusiasm to practice Who Am I, the Guru Bhakti, they are the lion. The Who Am I appearing in the life, day-to-day life of a sadhaka, and the complete belief that this is the final teaching that a jiva can aspire for, and that bhakti to that Guru, all that appears in the dream of the sleep called ignorance of the disciple. Inside each one of us, there is this layer of waking dream, deep sleep. But waking dream, deep sleep are for a jiva, or for an individual or a seer. Because we can think of the sleep we have had. Therefore, it is also an object of perception at some point to the seer. The seer himself is the ignorance, having risen from the waking, the awakened state of consciousness, to rise as a separate consciousness is the ignorance. To arise from the Satchit Swarupa as a separate ego, as a separate me, that is the ignorance. That ignorance, what happens? It creates this whole Srishti. The whole Srishti arises after the rising of the ego. That is present where? That is present inside the sadhaka, the ignorance. In that dream arising out of the ignorance, the sleep of ignorance, the appearance of the Guru is like the lion appearing in the dream of an elephant. It is said that the elephant is not afraid of any other animal in the forest. It can trample. Of course, it is afraid of the humans. But then amongst the animals, it is afraid only of the elephant. So, the Vedantins have framed this analogy that when will that elephant which is sleeping, when will it awaken? When it feels that a lion is attacking it and is going to sit on its head and tear it apart. On seeing that lion in the dream, Usually Bhagavan says when the dreams are all sweet and nice, we won't wake up. Only when it is a nightmare will we wake up. Only when it is unpleasant. So in this waking state, should we call upon troubles? Not necessary. If we look around, if you see that the body, wherever a body is there, there is going to be misery. Some misery or the other. Old age, illness, death, taking away of our identities, all that is going to happen. Various kinds of sorrows are going to happen if there is this ignorance of rising as a separate ego. In that dream, when the who am I comes and when we start, Bhagavan says in who am I, that the thought who am I will destroy all other thoughts. And will it remain in the end? Will there be an ego which says, now I am holding who am I thought? No, the who am I also will get dissolved along with the ego into the self, completely removing the shroud of ignorance of the disciple. What happens then to that awakened disciple? The Guru Sishya relationship, which appeared to be so important and real, even that gets dissolved in the Atma Swarupa. The Atma is Ishvara, Guru, and the Self. All the three, the individual, the Ishvara, and the Guru, they are all now merged in the Atma Swarupa. And that alone is there. There won't be any lion left because the dream is now vanished. There won't be any Guru Swarupa apart from the Self. The Self alone will be shining. Such a one is a master of the three illusions, Bhagavan says. Such an enlightened one is the master of three illusions. He is always residing in the rope. To him, there is nothing but the self. The snake has vanished. The world form has vanished. But how does Bhagavan see the people in trouble? How does he set up an ashram for them? He is able to see, no. That means he is a master of the illusion of mirage. Not only snake and rope, he is the master of illusion of mirage. For him, there is nothing purposeful in this world experience. There is nothing purposeful in having an ashram. There is nothing purposeful in the talks or upadesha that he is giving. But then, not only that, he makes use of food, water, resources. It is not like he is treating that as dream. It is not treating as a mirage. But then he is making use. He knows the use of the books. He is getting those books copyrighted and printed. So he knows that there is use for this. It is not like a mirage. So how can you say he is merely the master of mirage? That is where the Guru is the master of the dream also. That he knows that within the dream upadesha is required to remove the dream ignorance. So the dream upadesha is given, but the Guru is never trapped in the dream because he is master of mirage. That the dream has no purpose by itself. And he is not only master of mirage, there is no scene for him. There is nothing seen. There is only the Atma Swarupa. There is only the rope. That way is the complete dismantling of Ajnana and the abidance in the self-luminous self. Let us sit in Atma-Ucharam for the next 15 minutes. Usually you will be able to set up the time for us. Thank you.
Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue by taking up the second verse selected for us, verse number 788. 788. We find this in the segment Meditation on the Truth. The subsegment is Conduct of Sadhakas. Grace of Guru was that it is the Guru appearing as lion in the dream of the elephant that awakens us from the dream of ignorance. This is Conduct of Sadhakas 788. Unless a person firmly adheres to the dictum, that which deserves to be reformed is my own mind. By turning self-words and correcting himself, his mind will get defiled more and more by paying attention exclusively to the defect of others. Unless a person firmly adheres to the dictum, that which deserves to be reformed is my own mind. By turning self-words and correcting himself, his mind will get defiled more and more by paying attention exclusively to the defect of the others. There are 2-3 incidents which I recall, which are in the notes, so I'll try to cover that. Bhagavan's teaching, if you go to the first verse of Ulladunarpadu, is that the mind is not something located in the brain. The mind is that principle which creates the seer seen situation. The seer seen arises. The seer first arises and the seen loka arises. Where does it arise? It arises in the mind. But is that the Ullapurul? Is that which is the true existence? No. Because the seer seen is present only along with the mind in the waking and dream states, but in deep sleep, along with the mind, they vanish. So the seer, the loka seen, as well as the mind are illusions. And how to come to the truth? That from which the mind arises. That from which the mind arises, that is the truth. Therefore, it is of paramount importance in this part to see this defect of oneself, that is within oneself, that to assume that I am this mind inside this brain and there are so many minds. If I leave self-investigation, then immediately I will fall into finding faults with others. The 2 incidents narrated are, a foreigner comes and says to Bhagavan that so many people are making so many mistakes in the ashram. It is filled with all kinds of ignorant people creating a lot of errors. Why don't you correct? Why don't you correct, Bhagavan? Is the plea of the foreigner. And Bhagavan says, the sun merely shines. The sun merely shines. It does not detect the faults of the performers on the earth and then shine. Similarly, the sadhaka is to ask to remain as the Atma Swarupa, the Spurana, and merely shine. And bring that radiance of unconditional love into this illusory world and remove that in Atma Vichara. That the feeling that I am bringing this radiance also should not be there. But then Bhagavan says to the sadhaka, don't worry about the others' faults. You merely shine and bring light to everyone. If you keep detecting faults, you will be at the fault of judging. Instead of that, see the Atma Swarupa and merely shine. Then there is another incident cited by Godman where he says, a devotee asks, Bhagavan, if you don't correct our errors, who will correct? And then Bhagavan says, it is the Ishvara who corrects. It is the Ishvara who is within everyone. What is the Karma Yoga teaching of Bhagavan? Karma Yoga teaching of Bhagavan is the ordainer controls the destiny of individuals by remaining within each one of them according to their prarabdha. That which is bound to happen will happen. Try however much you may to stop it. That which will not happen will not happen. Try however much you may make it happen. This is absolutely certain. Hence, the best course is to remain silent, is to remain still. This is the Karma Yoga taught by Bhagavan, that within each one there is the Ishvara, and he is controlling each of them according to their prarabdha. Therefore, what is bound to happen, don't find fault with it. Don't find fault with any of the karmas happening, whether by you or by others. The best course is to understand that all those karmas, all those happenings are happening as per the ordain of the Ishvara within each one. So that Ishvara within each one is present within me. Therefore, my only duty is to find the fault of having arisen from that Ishvara separately. What is the root error? The root error is the first egoistic thought that arises from the Spurana. So our only duty is to find the error of our own mind. There is nothing like our mind, another's mind. As we start inquiring, we understand the mind principle. The mind principle is that which creates the seer-seen division. And the seer-seen division will remain strong so far as we find faults with others. So instead of finding fault with anyone, instead of judging anyone, instead of judging any happening, one should go to the source of the I, where the seer-seen division itself vanishes in the self-luminous self. See how the self-luminous self is the end of Karma Yoga, which we saw. It is the end of Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, what you have to do? You have to surrender to that one Ishvara. First of all the results. Then the karma itself you have to surrender. And then do Ananya Bhakti as per Upadeshasaram. And then find the Ekatma. In Yoga Marga, all Bahir Mukha is stopped and turned inward. And Yogi Olikanam. The Yogi finds the light of the self. So the Atma Vichara covers Karma Marga, Bhakti Marga, Yoga Marga, Jnana Marga. All the four margas are covered because you will not be looking to the karma of others. You will not come out of surrender to that Ishvara. You will not be outward turned, and you will see only the Jnana Swarupa. That is why it is called as Mahayoga. Atma Vicharam covers all the other four margas automatically. It is included. All the four margas are included in self-attention. All the rules of Karma Yoga completely observed. All the rules of Bhakti Yoga completely observed. All the rules of Yoga Marga, Raja Yoga completely observed. That is why Bhagavan calls it as Mahayoga. And that is what we will practice for the next one.
Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. May I request Venkatesh ji to give us the Samyanam remarks. Namo Ramana sir.
Namo Ramana. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jnanamulam Gurur Murte, Pujamulam Gurpadam, Mantramulam Vakyam, Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha, Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha. Namo Ramana. Two very nice verses which have been chosen. So let's see where are we going through right now? Which part of the year? We're going through the time of festivals. You know, in the festival time, what happens now? Dashera is coming. Dashera is already here. Diwali is here. Then New Year's is going to be there. Christmas is going to be there. We just finished Ganesha and Gauri. So, what did we really do during this period? We actually celebrated. We celebrated. What did we have? We had Mysore Pak, we had Jilebi, we had Sohan Papadi, we had all these fantastic sweets, and we enjoyed those sweets. Okay. But during this process of eating all these excessive sweets, what happened? We felt some, bodily, we have some discomfort. So we went to the doctor. The doctor said, Venkatesh, I think so you got pre-diabetes. You've got pre-diabetes. Oh, really? Pre-diabetes. Oh, I don't have diabetes. So I will go on eating more sweets. So I went on eating more and more sweets. Then what happened? Then one day there was in this waking state, what happened? I was not feeling well at all. Then I go to a doctor. Doctor, what he says? He, he appears, where does the doctor appear? Appears in the waking state. Then what happens? He does the sugar test and it says you got diabetes. So what has happened? The ignorance has vanished. The ignorance of the sweet has vanished. Now you take a person who's got diabetes to a sweet shop. What does he see? A person, if you take to the sweet shop, only sees sugar. So what has happened? He does not see the Mysore Pak. He does not see jalebi. He does not see son papadi. He only sees sugar. Imagine. So the doctor is like the guru. It gives you a wake-up call. And then what happens? No more you're dreaming. You're always awake. Initially thought pre-diabetes, I can eat more sweets. But then what happens? The doctor was like a guru. He came and said, Venkatesh, you have diabetes. You become very sweet from inside. But what has happened? You have a sugar problem. So what happens? All the Mysore Pak that is seen in the Kanti sweets is only sugar. So what has happened? The thought of sugar will completely remove Mysore Pak. I'll repeat that again. The thought of sugar will totally remove the thought of Mysore Pak. So that's what happens to us. When you have the thought of the self, all the superimpositions just vanish. So what is Mysore Pak? It's actually a superimposition on sugar. But what's the core of the Mysore Pak is sugar. That's one. The second one is even more beautiful. Second verse. Well, he says that you find faults. You go and ask somebody who has got yellow fever, jaundice, yellow fever. Go and ask somebody who's got yellow fever, liver problem. Everything looks yellow for the person. The world looks yellow. He feels he is also yellow. But what does he see the world? He thinks the world is yellow. And he wants to remove the yellow in the world. But can he remove the yellow in the world? No. He has to remove the yellow from within. He has to cure himself of the yellow fever. Once he cures himself of the yellow fever, then what happens to the world? No more yellow. It's perfectly fine. So Bhagavan is trying to tell us the same thing. That instead of looking outward, instead of being bahirmukha, become antarmukha. And when you correct yourself, when you correct your yellow fever, the jaundice problem that you have, the yellowness in the world will vanish, automatically vanish. So that's what they say. When you point one finger at somebody, remember three fingers are pointing towards you. So the problem lies within, never outside. So in all our sadhana, if we have to get to the self, we have to be antarmukha. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana, sir. May I request Vaibhavji and Pratnama to offer the chanting. Namo Ramana.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्विमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसम्रम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजितचलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः। ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीशोणाचलऋद्भोतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेश्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ निच्चान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणादृशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थानोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्याजनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः निर्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नमिदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
Namo Ramana. Thank you, Vaibhavji. Thank you, Pratnama. Thank you, Venkatesh ji. Thank you, Ujjwal ji. Namo Ramana to all.